Hello grade 8. I hope you are fine. Today in this session we are going to discuss and illustrate the Red-Headed League, Chapter 3. Before anything, I want to remind you of Chapter 2, what had happened in that. Holmes told Dr. Watson that he wanted to see the knees of young man's trousers. Holmes was looking carefully at the houses and shops behind Mr. Wilson's shop. And Holmes and Dr. Watson left the place and went to the concert. That was happening at the end of Chapter 2. Now we are going to Chapter 3, the Red-Headed League. After the violin concert, Sherlock Holmes told Dr. Watson that he had to see someone before he went home. "There is going to be a crime tonight, Watson," explained Holmes, "and it might be dangerous. Meet me at 221B Baker Street at 10 o'clock. Dr. Watson arrived at Baker Street that evening. Holmes was talking to Peter Jones, the most important policeman in London, and a man called Mr. Merryweather. I want to tell you that in this chapter we are going to meet two new characters. They are Peter Jones, the most important policeman, and Mr. Merryweather. Who is Mr. Merryweather? He was the manager of the bank behind Mr. Wilson's shop. He showed Dr. Watson the reason why the thieves were interested in his bank, and he wanted to move the boxes of gold to another bank. Again, we want to repeat the third paragraph. Dr. Watson arrived at Baker Street that evening. Holmes was talking to Peter Jones, the most important policeman in London, and a man called Mr. Merryweather. Holmes explained to Watson that they hoped to catch a famous thief called John Clay that night. The four men got into two taxis. While they were traveling, Holmes told Dr. Watson that Mr. Merryweather was the manager of the bank behind Mr. Wilson's shop. The taxis were taking them to Mr. Merryweather's bank. When they arrived at Mr. Merryweather took them into the bank and down into the cellar. Please, all the students, I want to ask you, what do you mean with the word cellar? Yeah, who can tell me? Cellar is a room under the ground floor of a building, usually used for storage. Again, the word cellar is a room under the ground floor of a building, usually used for storage. It was dark inside the cellar, and there were a lot of large boxes. Holmes looked carefully at the floor of the cellar. Then he asked Mr. Merryweather to tell Dr. Watson why the thieves might be interested in this bank. "They are interested in the gold in the boxes in the cellar," explained Mr. Merryweather. "It is unusual to have so much gold in one bank, and we have been worried. We wanted to move it." Holmes explained that the thieves were going to come into the cellar under the ground from Mr. Wilson's shop. Now, there were 3 policemen waiting outside Mr. Wilson's shop. Holmes and the 3 men were waiting inside the cellar. The thieves wouldn't be able to escape. Holmes turned out the light, and the 4 men waited for the thieves to arrive. After about an hour, the men saw something. One of the large square stones in the floor started to move. Suddenly, they saw a hand. A hand? The hand slowly moved the stone up and to the right. Then a young man climbed out the hole and into the cellar. When the young man stood up, Holmes quickly grabbed his arm. What do you think of the word grabbed here? grab here to hold something or somebody suddenly and tightly. It was John Clay. John Clay, your red-headed idea was a good one, but we have caught you, said Holmes. That was the end of chapter 3. Let's start to answer the questions now. We are in page 61. Choose the correct definitions. Number 1 here is answered. Cellar, yeah, is a room under a building. What about number 2? Number 2 is B. Run away, escape, run away from somewhere dangerous or difficult. Number 3, grabbed, took something quickly in your hand. Grabbed is letter B. 4, hoop, it's A. Think that something that you want will happen. 5, move, A. Go to a different place. 6, policeman, letter A. A man who tries to stop crimes. 7, wait, means letter A. Stay in one place. Let's go to choose question number 2, the correct word. Choose the correct word. Number 1 here is answered. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson wanted to catch the thieves. Number 2, the foreman traveled to Mr. Merriweather's bank. 3, there were a lot of yes, of course, boxes in the bank's cellar. 4, the men waited in the cellar for about an hour. 5, a man moved stone in the floor. Now we are going to question number 4. Read the quotation and answer the questions. John Clay, your red-headed idea was a good one, but we have caught you, said Holmes. Let's answer number 1. What do you think Sherlock Holmes thinks of John Clay? Of course, he thought that was dangerous thief. Question number 2. Do you think John Clay was a bad man? Why not? Yes, because he wanted to take the gold from the bank. Now, together we are going to answer number 5. Critical thinking. Number 1. Who do you think Sherlock Holmes wanted to see after the violin concert? Of course, Peter Jones and Mr. Merriweather. 2. Why do you think the bank manager worried about having a lot of gold in the cellar? Because thieves might take it. 3. How do you think the thieves planned to take the gold out of the cellar? They planned to dig a tunnel from Mr. Wilson's shop to the bank. That's the question today. Who do you think was helping John Clay? Mr. Ross. Thank you for good listening. See you in the next session. Bye.